getting started with the gender gap analysis tool. Okay, what is the GAT, as we call it? So it is a global framework grounded in the WEPs. It's fully aligned to the WEPs, and it's designed for businesses. It was also designed with businesses with a lot of feedback when it was first created. It's free, it's user-friendly. I'll show you the platform in a bit, and it's a confidential online platform. So when you create an account on the platform and you submit your results, in the back end, we do get the aggregate data. So we can see, okay, a company from Cambodia with 200 employees took the tool, but we don't actually see your name. And it is free of charge and easy to use. You get concise and clear results to easily identify areas for improvement. And what it does is cover 4 different stages. So it covers 4 pillars and then 4 stages. So if you look on the top right, it covers leadership, workplace, marketplace, and community. Those 4 kind of thematic pillars of the WEPs. And then it also covers these 4 stages: commitment, implementation, measurement, and transparency. These numbers that you see on the screen are the weighting of each section. So there is a total calculated point value based on if you answered yes to every single question. These 4 stages, the most weight has been given to implementation, 25% to commitment, and then measurement and transparency, each 12 for a total of 100. I think this is also a really good way to think of your impact and your journey for gender equality, because we also really find that all 4 stages are necessary for companies to really make impact and have results. You need commitment, and that doesn't just mean commitment from the leader, but also written commitment, something written in formal policy, whether it's a full policy or it's your written practice for the company. That commitment needs to be there. Obviously, implementation is taking the actions, but then equally important to ensure that you're keeping progress is measurement. So tracking everything that you're doing, and then also reporting, having that element of transparency where you're reporting internally to leadership or also publicly through public communication channels you have or through sustainability reports. So the topics it covers is pretty much everything. It is a comprehensive questionnaire that goes across all those WEPs. So it looks at, do you have a strategy in place, equal pay, recruitment, supporting parents as caregivers, also health and safety, inclusive sourcing, so supplier diversity, and then also looking at what you're doing in the communities. There is also an FAQ on the methodology if anyone's really interested in diving in further, and I'll take you to the website a little bit later on. So why should you take the GAT? You assess your overall approach to gender equality. It's a really user-friendly tool to develop gaps and opportunities based on this heat map it gives you. You also learn about best practices on gender equality globally. The questionnaire has kind of been designed with best practices in mind. So a lot of companies tell us when they actually take the tool, even seeing some of the questions made them reflect, oh, I see, we could be doing this and we're not quite yet. Oh, that's another area where we might be able to advance. It also does help you set concrete goals and targets and measure progress. It also helps you benchmark. And I apologize, I haven't updated this number, but you're going to see it. No, sorry, you won't see it later on because I've restricted the years. But I think now if we look overall, we have closer to 3,000 surveys completed across Asia Pacific. So it's also the best global repository we have right now for where companies stand aligned to the WEPs, enables us to really benchmark and see how companies are doing. It also contributes to the Sustainable Development Goals and helps companies to ultimately meet many of those objectives on gender equality that are aligned to the SDGs. Okay, so as I said before, it's available online, free to use. It's 18 different questions, and then each question has those 4 stages: the commitment, implementation, measurement, and reporting. and then several different options. You don't have to input any numbers or data. You just have to tick the things that you are doing. So one really nice thing about the GAT also is you can download a blank questionnaire in PDF format or Excel format. So we do often say that the lead person is usually DEI or HR or talent or sustainability department, but you may need to consult the following departments. So procurement or CSR, if it's a different department, marketing, product research development, or also if you have kind of the community or government relations department. So often people they download the Excel, they start offline, and then they complete it online because as you'll see, you can start, save, and then return at any time. So I can't give you an exact, I'm just knowing some questions people have asked in the past. I can't give an exact estimate of how long it would take, but I would say you probably need at least a week, just if you do need to consult with different departments. If you're a very small enterprise and you know exactly what policies you have in place, what you do, it might take you a few hours. But typically you might need some of that consultation. Also, just to note, you're not asked to upload anything. So you really are just kind of clicking what you do, no data input, and then no documents to upload either. So some other questions we also get. The GAT is not a third-party validation tool for self-reporting. So you get your results immediately. It's not for use. So say the GAT says you're a leader, we'll look at the results together. That's not for you to use in external reporting to say, oh, we've been validated as a leader. It's also not an auditing tool or a certification. It is just a self-assessment. I'll answer this question a bit later on as well too, but we do usually advise companies to take it annually or biannually, depending on also how much action you're taking in a given year on gender equality. So it is a tool to help you identify the gaps in opportunity, learn best practices and access resources, work towards setting concrete goals and targets, and then also benchmarking against peers in the industry. And I'll show you a bit more how we can also help with that. Okay, now we get into the nitty-gritty of it. I'll show you what the platform looks like in these slides, and then we'll go to the website together. So it's very easy to sign in and create an account. Just name, email, you create your own password as normal. It asks you for some basic demographic and company information. And then essentially you have your profile and you can start taking the tool. So each question, as I said, this is just one sample question. This is what it looks like. You have just a bunch of boxes that you tick. So for a question, this one is focused on suppliers and vendors. So there's always an option to click no. And then you can also click we're interested or we plan to take steps. Some of our units have taken steps. You can click yes, or you can also click not applicable. So as I said, the GAT was designed for private sector. It was mostly designed early on for large companies with large value chains, but we know that not every company or enterprise may have contractors or suppliers. So in this case, you can choose not applicable. When you're choosing yes, then it asks you questions based on those 4 phases. So commitment is really that formal policy or code of conduct in this case. Implementation, this is when you choose all the different options and you can select multiple. Measurement and transparency, this one is encourage suppliers to set and measure targets. Often this question is repeated for every different area. It's just, are you tracking against this question or indicator? In this one, it's a little bit different, encouraging suppliers to set and measure targets. And then often for transparency, it's focused on reporting internally or reporting externally. In this case, it's looking at auditing protocols, supplier scorecards, or other supply chain management tools. and then or also including gender-specific questions in self-assessments. Okay, for all these implementation questions, when we go to the website, I'll take you through a few other questions live. Because if you have any questions as you start to take this, you can contact us. But the best piece of advice I have is to really read the questions carefully and fully, and only tick the box if you really have all the elements. So for example, the first box is encourages suppliers and vendors to have a gender equality strategy or policy that addresses non-discrimination, equal pay, and health and safety. This one does say and, but I think it could be and or. So if you are encouraging suppliers, and really for this would not be, one message to one supplier. This would really be to tick this box if you have a practice that's documented and formalized, or perhaps it's part of the onboarding package you give suppliers to encourage them to have gender equality strategies or policies. Question number 2, robust due diligence or assessment processes for suppliers to ensure they're not causing or contributing to adverse human rights impacts, particularly for women and girls. If you have a due diligence process for suppliers, but it doesn't mention, women and girls, or has specific questions to ensure that there aren't harmful practices, don't tick the box. This, I think, is a good time also to say that the GAT is not a perfect tool. You may read this and think, oh, they're missing a specific area or question or something that we've focused on. Or you may also disagree with the way something is worded. The GAT has been around for more than 10 years. So there have been some discussions on potentially updating it. Right now, it is the standard we use for the WEPs and kind of our gold standard for assessment, because we also have a database of thousands of responses. So it does allow us to also benchmark against those different companies. But I think before we look at the results, it is a good time for me to say, just because you're not ticking every box or scoring does not necessarily mean that you're not also taking good actions and making progress. It's not a perfect tool, but it is the best that we have and our kind of standard benchmark for the WEPs. I just saw one question in the chat. I'm going to see. Yes. Just one other question that was once submitted. Do you also verify in some way? You will get, I'm not positive actually if you get an automatic email response, but you can see once you're in your profile whether you've submitted the assessment or not. And I'll show you what that looks like. So the minute you finish your assessment, which is really nice about the GAT, is you get automatic results. So there's 4 different levels that we kind of, the results set you at. There's beginner, improver, achiever, and then also leader. So leader would be that you scored the highest. So you can see this score was a beginner, 22%. What it's going to do is also tell me where I fall on each of these stages. So for the stages, it looks like I'm actually doing the best in commitment. So this means I have, quite good policies in place. I got 15 out of the 25% there. On implementation, I'm only at 11%. So actually, as a proportion, I need to take the most action, I think, of implementation. That's where I could be doing more. The biggest areas where I have opportunity to improve is measurement and then also transparency. So it gives you that overall picture of stages. But then what it also does, based on these 4 pillars, so you see here it says Q18, so a total of 18 questions. There's 1 key question in leadership. There's several in workplace. There's a few missing actually. No, yes. Sorry, they're not. There's several in workplace. There's a few more, 4 in marketplace, and then 2 in community. It gives you a heat map. And so you see right here, beginner would be in the red, meaning that's your biggest area to improve. And then improver, you'd start to get to orange and yellow. Achiever, you get a little bit more green, and then up to blue, you start to see the leader. So, and then here, these are white because they didn't answer the question. Maybe they don't have suppliers, or also they didn't answer that question. So you can see here the areas where you see 0 are where you have the biggest room for improvement. Where this test is doing the best is equal compensation or equal pay. So it's really nice that it gives you this automatic heat map so you can really see where your results are. And then you can also return to that as you take the tool multiple times, which I really think is one of the best features of the GAT, that you get that automatic kind of immediate feedback. Okay, I think this is at the point. We'll do the checklist and then we'll go to the website. Is the email? Okay, I see one other question in the Q&A that I'll also answer when we go to the website. So your basic checklist, choose a lead contact person who's going to be the one to input and make the account on the portal, download the list of questions, assign the questions to different departments, get the answers, input them, and get your results. I apologize. This is from another program that we run. I should have updated this. But revisit the tool on an annual basis to track your progress. That's what we recommend. Okay, let's take a tour of the website. And I'm sharing screen, so you should be able to see you should be able to see the GAT website right now. If you can't, please type in the chat, and I will get us to the right place. Okay, but I don't see any chat, so I'm assuming we're in the right place. Let me share the link. Okay, so this is not housed on weps.org. This is on its own website. So you go here to take the tool. You have an overview. Take the WEPs tool. You have a resources page, a translate page, and then also log in or sign up. Okay, so when you sign up for an account, so yes, you should input the the email you have here is what you're going to have for the account. So this is different than the WEPs website. So this, you would need to create a separate account here. And it's very easy, right? Name, email, password, organization type. If you're part of Alliance, you create the account. Okay, I am going to log into my account so that you can see what it looks like. We'll see if I remember my password. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, great. That worked. Okay, so your account. So what I'm going to see here is my profile. I'm logged into an upgraded account, so I can see aggregate reporting. You won't see that feature, but you will see your account. You can update your profile at any time. And then you also go to your dashboard. So UN Women is my organization name. You can see it will tell me when my last survey was completed. These are just kind of, sample surveys that I've taken. So I see here my results each time, where I stand, and then at any time I can go and look at my results. So I'll show you this result. Let me go to one that has a little bit more variety. Let me go to an achiever. So achiever is the third level. There's beginner, improver, achiever, and leader. So this one is a 56% score. You can download the results in PDF, which is quite nice, or I'll actually just show you what that also looks like so you can see. Or you can also review your results online. When you download as the PDF, this is what you get. It's a very nice, document, and you can get this immediately. So again, this gives me that heat map based on the individual questions. So the areas where I have the most room for improvement are parental and caregiver support and work-life balance. The areas where I'm doing the best are looking at violence, harassment, and sexual exploitation, access to quality health services, and also gender responsible marketing for my employees. Then I see where I am by management stages, and then I can also go down and see my actual answers. So this is the PDF of the questionnaire, and I see where I answered. And so then I will also see the boxes that I didn't tick, which would potentially give me a roadmap for where I might take actions. So for example, this question is on have a non-discrimination and equal opportunity policy, either standalone or clearly included. So here I have the commitment, being that I have the policies in place. On the implementation, it's supported by a grievance mechanism. It's managed by an independent third party. We provide training on the policy. We provide unconscious bias training. Where I have the room for improvement is right now I'm not collecting or analyzing sex disaggregated data on incidents of discrimination and corrective actions taken. And also I'm not reporting on those. So those would be the biggest areas that I focus on if I'm trying to improve those scores or really make more improvement in that area. So I won't take you through every single question on the report, but it's really nice that you get this report like that. And you can always come back to this at any time to see those previous reports. If I want to start, so I started a survey and haven't completed it yet. So at any time you can start and save. So let's say I want to continue the WEPs tool. So this is what it actually looks like. Let me go to a workplace question. We just looked at this one, non-discrimination and equal opportunity. But you see here, you've got in the corner, you've got those 4 pillars: leadership, workplace, marketplace, and community. And then it shows you how many questions you have for each one. So 11 questions for workplace. This does cover 3 of the principles, and it's where we really see the bulk of the work happening quite often. Okay. So we've looked at this question on non-discrimination. I'm going to go to the next question. So you always have this option to save and complete later. Next question. Okay, this is recruitment and processes. So do you have an approach to ensure non-discrimination and equal opportunity in recruitment? They do have places in the GAT where you can click and then you can actually get a definition of that term. So they do have a whole, when you click, you get taken to that place, but then they do also have a whole definitions and glossary section. Okay, so if we go back to the tool, if I click no, then I just get these options, right? Oh, we're interested in learning more. We plan to take some steps, or none of the above. If I click yes, then I get all the questions on the 4 stages. So commitment is, again, really having that policy. So when it comes to reading the descriptions carefully, has a standalone policy or a commitment embedded in a broader corporate policy. So it doesn't have to be a standalone policy on non-discrimination and equal opportunity, but there needs to be specific focus or specifically addressing gender diversity in recruitment. So make sure you read those questions carefully. So implementation. Forbids inquiring about the status or plans of the following in job applications. This lists all 3. So you would want to make sure that you actually have written instructions or protocols or SOPs that address all 3 of those, right? Here that question again on due diligence and remediation to identify and address violations of recruitment based on gender discrimination. So due diligence and remediation processes, right? If you only have due diligence, like you say, oh, we have a whistleblower policy that anyone can use, make sure that you also have the remediation process in place. That's the trick with the GAT, not the trick, but just something to be careful of, that you're really reading the questions in detail. So here, same thing, you can tick all that apply. A question like this takes proactive steps to recruit women in traditionally underrepresented roles. These are underrepresented roles in your specific company. So maybe you actually work in a sector that's very female dominated, but all of the tech roles are filled by men. And so maybe you actually want to recruit more women in the back end or the coders or in your IT departments. Okay, so here again, you tick all that apply. And then, like I said, most of these questions actually for measurement and transparency are the same. Do you track employee recruitment and reasons for turnover, disaggregated by sex? So not just if you're tracking recruitment, who's hired, but reasons for turnover, right? Are you also tracking reasons for turnover and making sure that you have that separated by men and women? This is maybe also a good opportunity to say that the GAT does really just look at disaggregation by sex. We know that many companies are disaggregating by age, by disability, by sexual orientation, by ethnic identity, maybe by other factors. That's not yet available to track in the GAT. If you're doing that, it's fabulous. But right now, the GAT really does just look at disaggregation by male and female. And then these two questions on transparency are often the same. Reports publicly to stakeholders or in sustainability reports, and also reports to the board or kind of to internal leadership. So every question is kind of like that. I won't go through every different question, but all the questions kind of follow a similar suit where you have those 4 stages. You tick everything that applies. It has that glossary of terms available for most of the things that come up,